Okay, so dancers, why stretching is not going to actually improve your turnout. And there's a whole big myth around if I stretch more, then my turnout is going to improve. But that's actually not really the case. So we're going to deep dive into this video. Try and watch the end if you can. Take notes along the way if you need to as well. It's only going to be a short video. Hopefully you'll get a bit of an understanding of how turnout works and what you should actually be doing, and you'll come away from this video having a little bit more of an idea of what you need to go ahead and start taking action on. So if you've been stretching every day but your turnout hasn't improved, this is basically for you. So I see this all the time with my dancers. They think if my turnout is bad, or I'm struggling with my turnout, then I need to lion frog, I need to stretch my hips, I need to do splits, I need to do all these things, I need to stretch this, I need to stretch that, and you'll hold it for ages. And I see it, and I used to do it all the time as well when I was younger, and I used to see it with dancers all the time, but they actually feel like you're more stuck. You actually don't really see much improvement. You may see an immediate improvement for like 5 minutes. So you may stretch and then you may go to do your turnout and you think, oh wow, actually it's actually working, and then about 10 minutes after it basically reverts back into what it was. So this is where we need to think, okay, actually turnout isn't actually going to help from stretching. So that's what we need to debunk now. So let me actually explain why that's happening, why you're getting stuck, and actually what works instead. So let's get into it. I just thought as well, I've got to keep pausing every time I change the screen. So if I'm doing this, it's because I'm pausing, but I hope that makes sense. So let's debunk some myths and the actual truth around turnout. Now, stretching will only target your flexibility. Now, that's great, but turnout is actually a functional movement that actually needs strength and control. So if we're trying to improve our turnout, stretching is not really going to help that. It's going to help the flexibility of it, but for you to actually maintain that turnout, hold that turnout, actually get your leg out to 90 degrees or further, you're going to need the strength and control to support it. It's all well and good having really great flexible hips, but if you haven't got that strength and control to support it, it's not really going to get you any far. So muscles like the deep external rotators, especially the glutes and the deep hip muscles, they need to be active and strong to hold that turnout. So that's what we need to actually be working. So ligaments and bones also play a role in this as well. So you might be hitting your body's limit passively, and stretching more won't really override that. So really focus on what muscles are actually used in turnout, and then from there we can then strengthen, we can then use it in mobility, and it can actually help with your turnout then. Like I say, stretching so-and-so is not actually going to help with that turnout. It's going to be the strength and control that comes with it. So you can be super flexible in like a passive stretch. But if you don't have the muscular strength to control that range when you dance, your body will naturally default back to that neutral. And that's why your turnout will collapse in like pirouettes, jumps or balances. Or when you go to develop your leg and the knee starts to come up and it comes up to a nice 90 degrees, and then when you extend it, it then comes forward or it drops. That's because you don't have the strength there. So you may have the flexibility, but you don't have that strength. And that's what we need to be improving. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. So let's talk about what actually improves your turnout. And I think it comes down to 3 key things. So you've got pelvic alignment, which we're going to start with first, then you've got strength, and then you've got dynamic movement. So first up is pelvic alignment and awareness. So most dancers don't even realise their pelvis is working against them. If your pelvis is tilted, potentially forward or tucked under, it changes what your hips can actually do. So you've got to find your neutral pelvis, where your spine is stacked and your hips are free to move. From there, turnout becomes about rotating from the actual hip joint, and not twisting at the knee or sickling the foot to fake it, if that makes sense, which we've probably all seen before. A lot of dancers get stuck because they don't actually know how to isolate that rotation from the hip itself, and you can stretch all day, but if your body doesn't know how to activate that movement in the right place, it just won't translate. So let's talk about the next one. Let's go on to the next one. So we've got external rotation. So it's about strength in that external rotation. Now, this is a big one, especially for dancers who are like hypermobile or flexible. If this is you, this one is going to be quite a good one to think about. Turnout needs to be held by your muscles, specifically your deep external rotators, like the piriformis and the glutes. So think like clamshells, you know, when you've got the band wrapped around your knees and you're bringing your knees out and in, banded bridges, resistance, what's another good one? I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. Turnout pulses maybe. These are really simple, but they're really, really powerful when you can do them with the right form and obviously the right intention. We don't want to just kind of be doing them without any intention. We need that mind to muscle connection. I can talk about that in a different video if that's something you're interested in. But yes, you're not just trying to feel that burn, basically. You're training your body to support the rotation safely and obviously efficiently as well. So let's go on to the next one. So my last one is control in the dynamic movement. So obviously as dancers, we're moving all the time. So it's all good and well, you know, strengthening that muscle, but we want to actually make sure we're connecting the dots when we're actually dancing. And that's where that dynamic movement comes in. So it's one thing to rotate it in stillness, like at the bar or maybe during a stretch. But what really matters is whether you can hold and actually control that turnout in the motion. So think about like développés, grand jetés, turns. If your turnout collapses the second you start to move, it's not functional, basically. So we need to train the turnout in realistic conditions. So we need to connect those dots together, and that's what I train a lot of my clients and my dancers on. We don't just give a fitness plan. We make sure in the fitness plan we've got things that we can connect, and when we actually go to dance, we're making sure those dots, that everything that we've been training in that fitness plan is actually seeping through into the dancing and the movement, and that's where that one-to-one feedback comes in that we do. So train the turnout in realistic conditions include like standing, jumping, balancing, and that's where the strength meets control. That's where the real progress actually happens, basically. Cool, so let's go on to the next one. One thing I forgot to say as well, turnout isn't just something that you like push more. It's something that you actually have to train, and it is a skill. Like, you can't just expect to do a pirouette and you just have that turnout. It's just not going to happen that way. You need to train it like you would train any other muscle. So that means like training that strength, like I say, that control, that awareness, and that's what you need to be training. Sorry, I thought I just put that in there. Sorry, really annoyingly, my thing at the bottom's come up. I don't know why that's come up, but here we go. So we're going to move on to what we can actually start implementing today. I want you to walk away from this video and start implementing as soon as possible. If you're struggling with your turnout, this is what's going to help, okay? So things like clamshells, banded bridges, turnout pulses, those things that I mentioned before, they're going to be really good to add to your warm-up. Okay, spend time, I always say this to my clients, spend time in that neutral pelvis awareness. So you need to find out where your pelvis is in that neutral state, and you need to take time to do this. Go into a studio, look in the mirror and see if your pelvis is tucking under, tucking forward, tucking under, and make sure your pelvis is neutral and we're not going here, there and everywhere. So you need to you need to look in the mirror and make sure your pelvis is aligned. The second thing you need to do is you need to then look away from the mirror once you've got that, and you need to sit in that, and you need to have that mind to muscle connection of, okay, this is what it feels like to be in that neutral pelvis. And that's what you need to then translate when you're doing your turnouts. So you can do this lying down, you can do this standing up, it doesn't really matter which way or you can do it. Feel free, if you want to send me a photo and you're not sure, send me a photo on Instagram. I don't mind having a look and I can help you. I won't charge you or anything, just send me a photo of what you think a neutral pelvis looks like for you and your before and after, and I can have a little look for you. The other thing I would actually say is reduce like passive stretching and start replacing it with like active like range holds. So like I want you to, instead of just like what's a good way, instead of just kind of sitting in like a frog, for example, I want you to actually strengthen it. So I want you to use a band, I want you to wrap it around your knees, I want you to open and close one knee in and out, and I want you to start actively stretching and actively strengthening those hips, because that's what's going to help with your turnout. So stop passive stretching so much because you think that's going to improve your turnout, and start focusing on that strength. Okay, that's what I want you to do. And start small. Just choose like one strength-based turnout drill, and just add it into your weekly routine. Trust me, if you do that, it will do more for you long term than like 20 minutes just sitting in a frog pose. Honestly, trust me, it will. So that's what I want you to start doing today. Okay. So let's move on to the next bit. So I know you're probably thinking, okay, Amelia, like I get it. Like you've given me this like, you know, exercises, but I actually have no idea where to start with this. That is exactly why I created the Sheared Stage, okay? Inside that, you've got quick targeted sessions that can help you build the actual strength and control, and we can give you specific exercises depending on what you need, okay? If you think, okay, well, I can't afford that, go away and just think about what I've said to you already, and start implementing that. And when you feel ready to level up that training, come back to me and I can give you a workout plan, and we can work together. They're all designed specifically for dancers. So if you want to start training smarter and actually seeing good results, just drop me a DM anytime, and we can get you signed up and started, okay? But hopefully this video has given you a bit of an insight on what to start doing to improve your turnout, and hopefully will stop you from just lying in frog position for 20 minutes, and you can actually go away and start thinking about how to actually improve your turnout. I hope that was helpful, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.